You have been sold a lie disguised as a virtue. Since the beginning of your working life, you have been told to give 110%, to wear the company colors, and to be the last one to leave. It sounds like honor. It sounds like discipline, but it is actually a highly effective method of extraction. Today, we are going to dismantle the modern gospel of corporate sacrifice. We will explore the most honest, uncomfortable, and controversial strategy for your professional life, doing exactly what is required and nothing more. This is not an apology for laziness. It is a calculated act of self-preservation in a system that views you as an expendable asset. Stay and understand why withdrawing your soul from the machine is the only way to save it. No matter how much passion you pour into your daily tasks, there is a fundamental truth you must accept. To the corporate structure, you are merely a number on a spreadsheet. You are a resource, a line item in a budget, and your presence is entirely interchangeable. You exhaust yourself trying to prove your devotion, believing that your hard work builds an invisible shield around your livelihood. But the moment the quarterly numbers fall short, your passion will not save you from elimination. The executives at the top do not see your late nights. They only see a metric that needs to be optimized. Acknowledging this cold reality is not a reason to despair. It is the first step toward genuine liberation. When you realize that the machine does not have a heart to break, you stop trying to earn its love. You stop trading your life force for a loyalty that only goes one way. And once you understand this, you begin to see something deeper. One of the most effective manipulation tactics in the modern workplace is the concept of the corporate family. Unless you're working in a genuine small family business, this idea is a carefully engineered trap. It is designed to weaponize your natural human desire for connection and belonging. They sell you the illusion of brotherhood so that you develop an emotional loyalty, leading you to work harder for less money, sacrifice your weekends, and feel crushing guilt when you try to disconnect. But a real family does not terminate your membership to improve their profit margins. You must sever this emotional cord. Treat the workplace as an alliance of convenience, not a tribe. Be respectful, be professional, but never confuse your coworkers with your kin. And never confuse your manager with a protector. Protect your true family with the boundaries you set at work. The next thing you must understand is quieter, but more dangerous. You are compensated for a specific result, yet the system constantly demands your time. You stay late at the desk, you answer emails long after dinner, and you believe you're proving your commitment, but you're actually teaching the system how to abuse you. The reward for this sacrifice is never what you expect. You do not get paid more for those extra hours of manufactured loyalty. Instead, the company simply moves the baseline of what they consider standard performance. You have successfully lowered the value of your own time by giving it away for free. Your time is the only truly finite asset you possess, and you are handing it over to an entity that does not care about your mortality. You must stop treating your hours as cheap currency. Recognize the transaction for what it is, and refuse to tip the machine with the hours of your life. This is where the real change begins. There is a strategy that society calls laziness, but the wise recognize it as strict boundary management. Arriving last, leaving first, and doing the minimum. This is not about producing poor work. It is about doing exactly what you are paid for without adding uncompensated emotional labor. When you over-deliver consistently without extra compensation, you drain the energy required for your actual life. You must reject the toxic culture of unnecessary presence that exists only to feed the ego of middle management. Your physical presence should be a precise transaction, not a daily donation. Fulfilling your obligations efficiently and professionally is the mark of a competent adult. Everything beyond that requirement is free labor. Guard your mornings for your peace and your evenings for your true life. Let them call you average while you quietly reclaim your sovereignty. And slowly, something inside you starts to return. You may harbor a quiet hope that your extra sacrifices are being noticed by those at the very top. Let the truth set you free. The CEO is not thinking about you. Their focus is entirely on shareholders, profit margins, and defeating the competition. Your personal sacrifice is completely invisible to them, existing only as a minor productivity statistic presented in a quarterly board meeting. They have absolutely no emotional connection to your exhaustion, your missed family dinners, or your quiet dedication. If they do not attach emotion to your labor, you must stop attaching emotion to their company. Detach your ego from the corporate structure. Perform your duties with cold, effective precision, and leave the emotional weight at the door. You are a mercenary, not a martyr, but peace does not come from escaping life. It comes from facing it differently. Passion is a rare and powerful force, a vital energy meant to fuel your own existence. But pouring this profound energy into a faceless corporate entity is a modern tragedy. If you are a naturally passionate person, handing that fire over to a company where you're just a number is exactly like watering a plastic plant. It will never grow, it will never give you shelter, and you will eventually run completely dry from the effort. The emotional cost of this misdirected loyalty is devastating. You use up the best hours of your cognitive focus and the deepest parts of your enthusiasm on tasks that ultimately mean nothing to your legacy. By the time you return to your real life, your hobbies, your family, your own mind, there is nothing left but ash. You have given the absolute best of yourself to a system, leaving only exhaustion for the people who actually love you. The shift happens when you decide to ruthlessly reclaim your inner fire. You must learn to treat the job strictly as a transaction, a mechanical exchange designed only to fund your actual life. Protect your passion fiercely. Guard it, cultivate it in the shadows, and reserve it exclusively for your own projects and your personal growth. And once you understand this, you begin to see something deeper. There is a specific situation where sacrificing everything and giving your absolute maximum effort makes perfect sense. When you are the owner, when you own the business, you are not a number, and every single drop of sweat is a direct investment in your own dream. The fatal error that keeps you exhausted is applying the mindset of an owner to the position of a disposable employee. When you operate with an owner's mentality but receive a worker's wage, you are actively participating in your own exploitation. Your extra effort does not build your empire. It merely increases the profit margin of someone who does not know your name. You become deeply frustrated because you expect the rewards of ownership. But the system is rigidly designed to keep you exactly where you are. You must separate these two realities in your mind immediately. Stop acting like the savior of a company that would not hesitate to cut you loose. Reserve your fierce ownership mentality for the construction of your own life and your own independent ventures. Treat your employment simply as a fair, balanced exchange of services. The next thing you must understand is quieter but more dangerous. The physical and mental toll of this misplaced devotion is severe. You sacrifice your sleep, your nervous system, and your mental clarity for an entity that would replace you in a week without a second thought. You convince yourself that the stress is a badge of honor, a sign that you're doing something important, while your body quietly begins to break down under the weight of artificial urgency. Look closely at the reality of the corporate world. Think of the people who gave decades of their physical vitality to a company, missing birthdays and avoiding vacations, only to be let go during a minor financial restructuring. They traded the irreplaceable years of their biological prime for a false sense of security that evaporated the moment a spreadsheet demanded a sacrifice. You must protect your biological energy as if your life depends on it, because it does. No job title, no quarterly bonus, and no corporate applause is worth the destruction of your nervous system. Do the work efficiently, but leave your health completely out of the transaction. This is where the real change begins, in the quiet refusal to destroy yourself for their gain. When you finally start pulling back and doing exactly what is required, you will experience a massive wave of guilt. Society has aggressively programmed you to feel deeply ashamed when you prioritize your own life over the constant demands of the company. You have been conditioned to view normal, healthy boundaries as a lack of ambition or a moral failure in your character. Your coworkers may judge you, and your managers will likely apply subtle pressure, trying to shame you back into the culture of overwork. They will call you a quiet quitter, framing your self-protection as a negative trait. But ask yourself, who is the real loser here? The man who fulfills his contract and goes home to live his life, or the one who stays late to suffer for a system that does not care? You must endure this guilt without breaking. It is merely the psychological growing pain of recovering your personal sovereignty. The discomfort of their judgment is an incredibly small price to pay for the absolute freedom of owning your own time. Let them whisper, let them judge, and slowly something inside you starts to return. There is a deep psychological friction that occurs when you finally realize your extreme effort does not correlate with your reward. You push yourself to the absolute limit, expecting a grand validation or a life-changing promotion, only to receive a standard, calculated yearly review. The system is designed to extract maximum output for minimum compensation, completely disregarding your emotional investment. This profound disconnect breeds a quiet, simmering resentment that poisons your daily existence. You become angry at the world, bitter about your lack of progress, and resentful of the leadership, completely unaware that you chose to play a rigged game. You are furious because you expected the machine to behave like a human, honoring your sacrifice with loyalty. Except that the reward structure is fixed and emotionally barren. Once you stop expecting a disproportionate reward for your sacrifice, the bitterness fades away entirely. You do exactly what is required, you collect your agreed-upon pay, and you walk away in absolute peace, leaving their problems at their desk. But peace does not come from escaping life. It comes from facing it differently. The foundation of your freedom begins with a brutal shift in perspective. You must strip away the emotional narrative you have attached to your employment and see it strictly for what it is, a cold mechanical transaction. You are trading a specific set of skills for a specific amount of money. The company is not your family, the office is not your home, and the work is not your ultimate purpose in life. When you remove the expectation of loyalty, you completely eliminate the possibility of disappointment. You stop waiting for a faceless system to recognize your human value. You do the work, you collect the wage, and you walk away. The emotional exhaustion you have been carrying is entirely born from the false belief that the system owes you something more than your paycheck. It does not. This transactional mindset requires absolute, unshakable professionalism. You are a mercenary of your craft, you deliver exactly what is required with high competence and sharp precision, but you leave your soul entirely out of the deal. You are fulfilling a contract, not making a blood oath, and once you understand this, you begin to see something deeper. Time boundaries are your strongest and most necessary defense. The modern concept of being the first to arrive and the last to leave is a trap designed to steal your life force. You must adopt the exact opposite strategy. Become the last to enter and the first to exit purely as an act of boundary setting and self-preservation. You are not avoiding work, you are fiercely protecting your life. Guard your mornings with absolute discipline. That time belongs to your own mind, your physical health, and your preparation for the day. Guard your evenings for your real life, your family, and your true passions. These sacred hours belong to you, not to the endless, artificial urgency of the corporate inbox. The company only leases your time. They do not own your existence. You must reject the toxic culture that normalizes unnecessary presence. You do not owe them your off hours. When the clock strikes, you close the laptop and you walk away without a single drop of guilt. Reclaiming these hours is the only way you begin to rebuild your internal strength. The next thing you must understand is quieter, but more dangerous. You must learn to separate true professional excellence from personal sacrifice. Doing the absolute minimum does not mean doing a poor job or producing weak results. It means executing the exact requirements of your role efficiently, without adding the uncompensated emotional labor the system silently demands. It is the mastery of precision over the illusion of effort. The system desperately wants you to believe that having strict boundaries means you are an average, unambitious person. But true excellence is knowing exactly where to apply your maximum effort. Wasting your highest potential and your deepest energy on a standardized corporate spreadsheet is the ultimate failure of intelligence. You are a high performer playing the wrong game entirely. Be ruthlessly competent within your defined hours. Give them exactly what they paid for, with undeniable quality. But everything beyond that precise requirement is yours to keep. You are preserving your vital energy for your own empire and your own future. This is where the real change begins. The corporate machine feeds entirely on your emotional reactions. When you get angry at a poorly handled performance review or anxious over a demanding email, you are allowing them to control your nervous system. You are handing over your internal power to a completely indifferent entity. They dictate your mood, your stress levels, and your peace simply by sending a message. Emotional detachment is the heaviest armor you can wear. You must stop viewing professional feedback as an attack on your character and start viewing it as mere data. Let the manufactured chaos of the office happen all around you without ever letting it penetrate your internal silence. You watch the panic, but you absolutely refuse to participate in it. When you stop reacting emotionally, the system completely loses its leverage over you. You become an immovable object in a world full of frantic, anxious people. You are physically present, but your mind is untouchable, seated firmly in its own quiet, unshakable authority. And slowly, something inside you starts to return. For years, you have mistakenly tied your core self-worth to your job title. You allowed your professional identity to slowly consume your human identity. You introduced yourself by stating what you do for a living, believing that your status in the corporate hierarchy defined your value as a man. But you are not your job, and your desk is not the center of your existence. It is time to physically and mentally withdraw your soul from the workspace. View the office as a temporary location where you conduct necessary business, not the arena where your true value is determined. The real arena is your own life. Your character, and the strength you build in the shadows. The corporate badge is just a piece of plastic. It is not your identity. Take back your mental space completely. Leave the corporate problems at the door the exact second you walk out. The massive amount of energy you recover from this detachment will become the solid foundation for your actual life. But peace does not come from escaping life. It comes from facing it differently. The most dangerous error you have made is believing that your ambition belongs to the company. You have been fueling their growth with your own natural drive, hoping that one day the machine would reward you by making you a part of it. But ambition is a finite, precious force that was designed to build your own destiny, not to optimize a department's output. When you misplace your drive, you lose your way. True ambition is the quiet, burning desire to master your own existence and create something that is uniquely yours. It is the refusal to accept the mediocre life of a corporate cog. The moment you pull your ambition back from the office and reinvest it in your own growth, the game changes completely. You stop being a tired employee and start being a man with a private agenda that no corporation can touch. Keep your deepest goals hidden and cultivate them in the absolute silence of your own life. Do not share your plans for freedom with the people who benefit from your confinement. Work on your private empire with the same intensity you once wasted on their projects, and once you understand this, you begin to see something deeper. There's a massive psychological difference between a worker who is enslaved by fear and a sovereign worker who is simply fulfilling a contract. The sovereign worker does not ask for permission to have a life. He does not apologize for having boundaries. He moves with a calm, deliberate efficiency that commands respect, simply because he has already decided that his dignity is not up for negotiation. When you operate with this mindset, you become incredibly difficult to manipulate. You are not desperate for approval. You are not rattled by artificial pressure, and you are not addicted to the praise of managers. You are there to provide a specific value for a specific payment, and that transaction is the beginning and the end of your relationship with the system. You have become a free agent in a room full of hostages. Practice this sovereignty in every interaction. Speak clearly, hold your ground, and refuse to participate in the petty politics of the workplace. You are the master of your own mental space, and no one has the authority to disturb your internal peace unless you explicitly permit it. The next thing you must understand is quieter, but more dangerous. The greatest power you can cultivate in a high-pressure environment is the absolute power of being unbothered. You have spent years reacting to the noise, the demands, the changing priorities, the constant alerts. You have allowed their urgency to become your stress. But when you master the art of being unbothered, you deny the machine the fuel it needs to keep you in a state of agitation. This is not apathy. It is a higher form of control. You observe the situation, you assess the risks, and you take the necessary actions without ever losing your internal center. You are the eye of the hurricane, calm, observant, and completely untouched by the chaos swirling around you. While others are frantic and reactive, you are steady and precise. Cultivate this state by realizing that almost none of the workplace urgency actually matters in the long run. Most of it is just performance, designed to keep everyone running in circles. Refuse to run. When you stand still while the world screams for your panic, you reclaim a level of authority that is both visible and undeniable. This is where the real change begins. For years, you have been leaking your most valuable energy into a void. Now that you are doing only what is required, you will find a massive surplus of focus and willpower that you didn't know you had. This is your life force returning to you. You must be extremely careful where you direct this reclaimed power. Do not waste it on another screen or another distraction. Use this surplus energy to build your own reality. Whether it is learning a skill that makes you independent, constructing a side business, or simply investing in your physical health, this energy is the capital for your future. You are now the venture capitalist of your own life. Every hour you save by not performing for the company is an hour of pure, concentrated potential for your own advancement. Be intentional, build the infrastructure of your freedom while you are still inside the system. Let the company pay for your transformation while you quietly sharpen the tools that will lead you to total self-ownership. You are playing the long game now, and every day you are becoming more prepared to walk away. And slowly, something inside you starts to return. The journey culminates in a single, final realization. Your life belongs to you, not to the company, not to the economy, and not to the expectations of others. Walking away, or even just knowing that you could, is the ultimate act of self-ownership. It is the moment you stop being a passenger in a system you never designed and start being the creator of the life you actually wanted to live. You now view the corporate world with a calm, clear eye. You see the traps, you understand the game, and you are no longer tempted by the bait of prestige or fake loyalty. You have traded the false security of being a number for the raw, authentic power of being a man. You are free, not because you have nothing to do, but because you are the only one who decides what you will do. Stand firm in this new reality. The system will always try to pull you back, but you are no longer the same person. You have protected your soul. reclaimed your time, and mastered your internal order. Your path is your own, and your ambition is finally directed toward the only thing that truly matters, your own sovereign and self-determined future. But peace does not come from escaping life. It comes from facing it differently. You have dismantled the illusion that your value is tied to your corporate sacrifice. You now understand that being a number on a spreadsheet is not a failure of character, but a systemic reality that you must navigate with cold, tactical intelligence. You have reclaimed your time, protected your biological energy, and established a sovereign territory within your own mind. You have transitioned from being a worker who gives everything to a man who gives exactly what is required, and nothing more. This shift was never about laziness, it was about the highest form of self-respect. You are no longer owned by their urgency or distracted by their fake validation. You are the architect of your own time, the owner of your own ambition, and the master of your own internal order. Protect the life you have reclaimed, and continue to build your own empire in the silence they cannot reach. If this truth brought you the clarity you needed to change your trajectory, subscribe to the channel. The work of building your own life starts today.